Those characters in Hi-de-Hi really existed. It was the entertainment staff.
So Hi-de-Hi was about the entertainment staff in a fictional version of Butlins in the 1950s. Now they needed the actors to fill the yellow coats. Ruth Maddock had appeared in a couple of ITV police series and also had success in the movies. In 1972, she played the part of Mrs. Diebread 2 in the all-star Burton and Taylor version of Under Milk Wood.
Tell you fortune in the tea leaves, Lord Cutclass?
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Must rush, Mrs. Diebread.
2. Mrs. Diebread 2. Not Mrs. 1. She's another. Tick-tock 2.
Jimmy introduced me, and David then said, "Do they all talk like that in Wales?" I went, "Oh, I thought I'm not going to get this part." But I did get it.
Gladys Pugh!
And Gladys Pugh, the Queen of the Glockenspiel, was born.
Hello, campers. And don't forget, I am also your sports organiser.
Oh, you can organise my sports any time, look. Look at that chassis, lads. You've left your engine running.
When certain members of my family picked up a telephone in those days, I noticed that they had what we call in Wales a twang.
Hello, campers.
Hi-de-Hi!
So I took that into Gladys, especially with the announcements.
Here are the arrangements for the morning. In the place of the swimming gala around the Olympic-sized pool, we're having a snakes and ladder drive in the Hawaiian.
In ballroom.
Whatever the weather, we are never downhearted at Maplins.
And then the singing, the terrible singing that she did.
I'm singing in the rain.
Just singing in the rain.
What a glorious feeling.
Another Maplins regular who would belt it out whether you wanted her to or not was Peggy Ollerenshaw, inhabited by Sue Pollard.
I was born in a trunk at the Princess Theatre in Pocatello, Idaho.
I think the Sue Pollard character did come closer to reality to her than any of the others in all my shows. Sue Pollard, she's a nutcase.
And the award for the Best Actress of the Year goes to Peggy Ollerenshaw.
She's got to be Cinderella and she never goes to the wall.
Hi-de-hi.
Sue Pollard's first taste of fame came when she finished second to a singing dog in Opportunity Knocks in 1974. In 1979, she got herself an even shaggier co-star in Two Up, Two Down.
We want something that reflects an offbeat, irreverent, anarchistic approach.
What about...
She's a marvellously flamboyant character. And she can jerk the tear so naturally too. I mean, you find yourself with a lump in your throat when she's played her scenes. You know, she's quite wonderful.
I just want you to know I'm not going to give up. A yellow coat one day. You'll see. Hi-de-hi.
Ruth Maddock and Sue Pollard were joined by a diverse band of performers taken from all areas of entertainment. From classical actor Simon Cadell as ex-university don come entertainment's manager Geoffrey Fairbrother.
This is a big one. One of the high spot lights of the week. The Holiday Princess competition. Now, Dad, put down your binoculars.
What are you doing? It's not me. You've got your weight on the wrong foot, you silly cow.
To Barry Howard and Diane Holland as the terminally bitchy camp dancers.
If anyone says one more word on this subject, I shall leave the room, the camp and the town.
And an unknown TV warm-up man called Felix Boness.
Enter in the spirit of the thing. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sons of the sea. Actions now. David said to me one day, he said, we're going to write a part for a riding instructor who is an ex-jockey who get on her nerves talking about horse racing and bets, so we're going to give you that little part, which they did, and I was thrilled to pieces with it.
Hi-de-hi! Hi-de-hi!
He wasn't everybody's idea of an actor, actually, but he was terribly successful in it.
Bastard idiot, laugh at anything, this lot.
He was a marvellous person to have in a company, because he was sort of kept everybody cheerful somehow, you know. It was a great character.
Some members of the cast who didn't need to worry too much about lines were the leggy yellowcoats. Though Croft and Perry did try to make them more than just eye candy, didn't they?
I think they were sort of the beginning of the change where glamour girls were less glamour girls, and I think David and Jimmy wanted to show that the yellowcoats had characters, like real people, other than just something to look at.
We are the shark fighters and we will save her.
The shorts weren't really supposed to be as short as they were, in my case, but because it was a 50s period.
Mr. Partridge?
Hello.
We're all wanted in the office.
Uncle Willie, the children's entertainer, who hated kids. Now, I found children's entertainers loathe children because these children make their lives a misery.
I hate red tape. And I hate kids. I hate kids!
I'd met Leslie Dwyer, actually, when I was first going into the business. I tried many times to use him after that, but he was so busy in movies, because he was quite a big star in movies.
The late Leslie Dwyer is one of the unsung heroes of British cinema. With an acting career that spanned over 50 years, he appeared in such classics as The 39 Steps, The Way Ahead, and In Which We Serve. And appearing alongside able seaman John Mills, his character was an eerie foretaste of Hi-de-Hi's Mr. Partridge.
There must be one bottle of beer somewhere in Scotland, just one wonderful bottle of beer.
One of the hardest pieces to fit in the Hi-de-Hi casting jigsaw was the larger-than-life camp host. The result became a bit of an in-joke.
I don't want this to get about, but I've been for an audition for television in Manchester. They're doing this new show. It's about a lot of people that live in this mucky street. Apparently I'm dead right for it. Yeah? I think I've got it.
I was at the Flat in London and Coronation Street was on and Paul Shane was on.
Some folks don't know they're born, do they?
No.
I'm not supposed to be sick, I am sick.
Of course you are, mate. That's what I'll tell them back at the office. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Now, what we wanted was a seedy, slightly boozy, but third-rate comedian.
Good night, Mrs. Roberts.
Good night.
I remembered him from a play called Summer Season, which he'd done on BBC2, and I thought, that's the man.
Little lad went home to his mother. He said, "Mother, are pants people bionic?" She said, "I don't know. Why do you keep asking?" He said, "I've just heard my father saying he could screw ours off that blonde on telly."
His background was great, actually, because he'd won the Comic of the Year type thing in clubs up north. He was a formidable comic.
This one's an impression of the famous Go-Away bird. Look at us!
There was a club act, and all Ted was a club act. The only difference was I had to remember their lines, not mine.
My name's Ted Porvis, and I'm your camp host. And when I say camp, don't get the wrong idea, Mrs. Woman. There's nothing like that about me.
The only thing was I turned it down. That shocked you, hasn't it?
It's purely a matter of economics.
You doubled the money and I did it. Simple as that.
They based the characters on our own personalities, because I was always a bit po-faced and rather naive in those days, and I think they used a lot of that quality about me in the Spike character.
Right, don't overdo it.
So you've got Ted, who's awful, teaching Spike how to be a comedian.
First rule of comedy, you must have reality. Have you ever seen a girl who walks like that?
You've never seen a girl with balloons for knockers? Spike would go anywhere and do anything for Ted, you know.
Isn't he wonderful? What a performer.
I'd give anything to be like him. Without the moustache, of course.
First rule of comedy, Spike, you must have integrity. Without integrity, you're nothing. And all quoting these, and he didn't know what he's talking about.
Step, heel, slide, slide, slide.
It was a good match, really, a good double act, Paul.
Oi! Come on, we're starting.
In creating the Maplins entertainment team, Perry and Croft used the formula that had already worked successfully on Dad's Army and It Ain't Half Hot Mum. They wrote from their own experience and about a certain type of character.
Ted, why is Peggy wearing a moustache?
Because she's supposed to be Gary, so don't let on she's a girl.
Everything they've done, they're all losers. And the Brit loves the underdog.
Well, here I am, back where I belong. Back among the deadbeats and has-beens.
Winners aren't funny. We're all losers in one way or another, you know, when the chips are down. And people who are... I was once asked to write a series for Rex Harrison. Don't laugh. I said, what's funny about Rex Harrison? He's got all the women he wants, got all the money he wants, got everything he wants. That's not funny.
It was the same in Dad's Army. All those businessmen who had never given each other the time of day normally, but they all came together under the common umbrella of the Home Guard.
Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler?
Dad's Army first marched onto our screens in 1968 and still hasn't really left them. It was a show that unerringly hit the target. But when Jimmy Perry first wrote the pilot, he was a struggling bit-part actor.
What's your mate? Here, what are you all ponced up for? Got a job as a waiter?
It was while working on this show that Perry met the producer, David Croft, for the first time.
Your sense of humour is rapidly losing its magic for me. Sit down.
Yeah, all right, Eddie.
Not there, in the cupboard under the stairs.
I was a rather ragged-assed actor, excuse, and I was in lots of TV sitcoms, rotten parts, and I thought, I can't stand this. And also, I want 4 meals a day. I've got to eat. So I thought, I'll write a sitcom with a good part in it for myself, which I called, I shudder to think, The Fighting Tigers.
We have been chosen to act as guard of honour.
No!
Oh, marvellous! Any man who can't attend on Saturday, take 1 pace forward.
He did write the script to give himself the role of Spib.
Why can't you come, Walker?
Well, I've got me stall in the market on Saturdays.
And he was very upset, I think, when I wouldn't cast him at it, because although he was an excellent actor and would have played it very well, I wanted him beside me as a writer in the box when the show was going on.
On reflection, perhaps they were right. But I didn't think so at the time. I was furious.
So furious, in fact, that Croft did give him the role of a bad music hall comic.
My wife, she's so fat, I have to put a bookmark in to remember where her mouth is.
The Fighting Tigers changed its name to Dad's Army. Dad's Army. David Croft went on to produce another huge success, this time about a bunch of losers in a department store called Are You Being Served? In 1970, Jimmy Perry worked with Britain's biggest comedy names on a kind of all-star good old days.
Take your places for Wilton's, the handsomest stall in town.
We got hold of Spike Milligan,
Hang out my legs for the chickens to roost.
Peter Sellers,
Sam, we told you so. Blast your eyes!
and numerous other well-known artists, including Ronnie Barker.
A soldier once was I, fighting though much admired. The army lost a treasure on the day that I retired.
And we put this show on from Wilton's Music Hall.
Wilton's was a celebration of the music hall tradition that Croft and Perry know more about than almost anybody else alive today. And it was to this tradition that they returned for their next collaboration, a sitcom about a British Army concert party.
Meet the gang, cause the boys are here, the boys to entertain you.
It Ain't Half Hot Mum became the duo's second big hit. It ran for 8 series from 1974 to 1981 and made stars of Melvin Hayes,
I'm surrounded by flipping amateurs.
Don Estelle and the Screaming... a popular Welsh character that Croft and Perry would draw on in Heidi High for Gladys Pugh.
Well, you see... Shut up!
Another familiar face from Heidi High.
We did an episode of It Ain't Half Hot Mum, which was called The Superstar.
Oh, you sing a bit. He sings a bit.
I was a gormless RAF Irk who comes along to audition for the concert party, and he can do everything that they can, only better, on his own. He could sing opera, he played classical piano, he tap dances, he does a vent act. As a result of me doing that, I've always felt that it was, that they when they wrote Heidi High, they wrote Spike with me in mind. I think that must have clinched it.
It's like fairyland. We don't get many of them round here.
So Geoffrey Holland joined the rest of the Maplin's entertainment staff on the set of Heidi High in 1980. The series was screened a year later and was an immediate success, with audiences rocketing to 15 million by the end of the run. Croft and Perry proved once again that with Gladys, Ted and Spike, they could create characters as compelling and recognisable as those in any TV soap. But they also created a memorable character that the audience never saw.
We never met Joe Maplin. We saw his feet, actually, and a body coming out of a car. We never actually came face to face.
There's trouble, Spike. Thank heavens it's our day off.
I think it would be true to say that Joe Maplin was very much based on Billy Butlin. He was a cross between that and an agent that I knew, who my daughter worked for, who particularly used to write the illiterate letters. And he would insist on her writing exactly as he spoke.
Right, you lot, get a load of this.
And so that was a feature that came into the script.
This is my dairy. I think he means diary. I before thee.
And they were good fun, because when Simon Cadell, as Geoffrey Fairbrother, read these, it was very funny that he was having to say these sort of ungrammatical things, you know.
Tell Barry, if that bird of his gets any thinner, I'll put her on half salary. What's he doing to her?
Simon was a dear character, and he was a beautiful actor, and standard.
I've got away with it, Spike. P.S. Tell that Ted Bovis I've changed his bingo blower, and if he wants to hide from me in the hedge, he'll have to take some weight off.
Oh, he was lovely. He was one of the lads. Public school boy. But we had some great scenes in that office. It was sort of the West End versus the West Riding of Yorkshire.
I mean, let's be fair.
David and I wanted a contrast. First rule of comedy, you must have contrast.
Simon's character. So I didn't need the words, it was only looks. You know, it's just called doughy-eyed. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Geoffrey! Not wanting to let Heidi High hijack his acting career, Simon Cadell left Maplin's at the end of the 4th series in 1984. He continued to work regularly in TV and theatre, winning an Olivier Award for Best Comedy Performance in Travels with My Aunt in 1992. Tragically, his career was cut short by cancer, and he died in 1996.
A great loss to the profession, passing away at 45. But very fond memories of him.
Heidi High's 5th series got off to a roaring start with the arrival of a new entertainments manager.
We want a sort of devil-may-care ex-squadron leader, somebody who's irresponsible, and he was absolutely marvellous for the part.
I'm Clive Dempster. I've come to work here. I'm in charge of something or other.
Yeah, you're the new camp entertainments manager.
That's it. Don't know much about it, but I expect I'll pick it up as I go along.
Dear David Griffin, who's a fine actor, wanted a medal as big as a dustbin lid for taking sort of Simon's part on.
It was only a problem when people kept reminding me of it.
Mr. Fairbrother, who had your job last year, was a very passionate man. He couldn't keep his hands off me.
I think they meant well, but there were occasions when people would actually, whether it was cast or crew, would say, God, it must be difficult taking over from Simon.
What a bevy of beauty we've got here.
This is Sylvia. She's been here for donkey's years.
Didn't we meet at Quag's?
We might have done. I go there quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm April. She's a hairdresser. And this is Dawn and Bob's.
A cad and a bounder. A cad and a bounder, sir.
I'm Gary.
Good.
With David Griffin's Captain Clive Dempster in charge, the series ran for another 3 years until he finally made an honest woman of Gladys Pugh and swept her off to Australia. Peggy finally got her yellow coat on the day the gates of Maplin's closed for business in 1988, 8 glorious years after they'd first opened. By then, the actors had become so identified with their characters that the main thing on their mind was how to avoid being typecast.
I knew that I was getting nearer 50 rather than 40. So for me, it would be ludicrous to be typecast as Gladys.
Ruth went back to the stage to get away from Gladys, but she's returned to the small screen in dramatic parts.
You should let Suzanne choose.
She'll be too busy.
Don't swamp her, Peter.
In Jack of Hearts, she played opposite Andrew Sachs, another actor making a good job of escaping a comic past.
I'm trying to help our daughter. She's coming home, Jean, and I'm happy. And so should you be.
I am.
Good.
In 1988, Jimmy Perry and David Croft collaborated.
Come on in.
The original idea was to set it at the time of the abdication in the 30s, but it was going to be an upstairs-downstairs type programme.
I don't suppose you've been in a room like this very often?
No, your lordship. Not since I done the grate this morning.
Heidi High's Paul Shane, Geoffrey Holland and Sue Pollard took the downstairs parts, and the officers from It Ain't Half Hot Mum joined the cast as ready-made toffs.
You rang, my lord. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You Rang, My Lord gave Croft and Perry the chance to explore the interesting dynamic that had grown between Paul Shane and Sue Pollard on Heidi High.
When she played my daughter in You Rang, My Lord, we did develop a much broader and a much deeper relationship.
You're not going to fill your pockets with this, are you?
Not a single note will go into my pocket.
You promise?
On my mother's life.
She died 5 years ago.
You Rang, My Lord bowed out in 1993. It marked the end of one of television comedy's greatest partnerships. Nearly 30 years and 4 monumental series after David Croft and Jimmy Perry first met on Beggar My Neighbour, David Croft took Shane, Pollard and Holland with him for his next series, Oh Dr. Beeching, which chugged along for 2 series before the company all went their separate ways. Paul Shane continued to work in the public sector, appearing as a hospital porter in Holby City.
Now, what I want you to do is throw a punch.
While Sue Pollard brings the spirit of Heidi High into everything she does.
I am Heidi Honeycomb, singing Teeter to the stars.
Ow! Heidi High.
Well, that's it, folks. It's the last night of the season. We all hope you've had a wonderful holiday. Yes. Because we've had a wonderful time entertaining you.
Noisy sod.
With Heidi High, David Croft and Jimmy Perry created the last great gang show. It was a series that captured the hearts and minds of audiences of all ages. And so when it was lights out and the show came to an end, there was a genuine tear in 15 million eyes.
I don't think I realised just what a wonderful series it was.
People still come up to me in the street and say, oh, we love those shows of yours. Will they please bring them back? And I said, I wish they would. I wish they would.
Oh, Ted, it's been just wonderful. I did it. I got my yellow coat. I remember this week for the rest of my life.
He was a monster. Wonderful monster. It's the wind of change. You call the leaves blowing in the pool. Come on.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We know every address without a TV license. So if you're a TV license evader, it's just a matter of time before we catch you.
19, 20. Coming. ready or not.
Get a licence or face a court appearance and a fine of up to £1,000. Call 0800 328 2020.